You are on the trip you saved a year for. A wet step, a bad landing, and your leg is broken in a country whose language you don't speak. The hospital is good. The surgery works. Then weeks later, an envelope arrives. The bill over $100,000 and one word from your insurer. No. You did everything right. You bought the insurance. So when the company that was supposed to catch you says no, who actually pays? Open the file. One traveler, one broken leg, one denied claim, and it is not a rare horror story. It's common enough that, in the UK alone, refused travel claims draw thousands of complaints a year. This is a machine, and it runs the same way every time. So we'll do exactly what the insurer did. Read the policy, line by line, until we find the trapdoors where the money quietly disappears. Because the shock isn't that a claim gets denied. It's where the bill lands when it does. Start with the treatment. Even in the most expensive place on earth, to get hurt, the United States. Fixing a broken leg with surgery, pins, a plate, a hospital stay, runs about $15,000 to $40,000. Serious money. But here's the strange part. The treatment is almost never what ruins people. Most travelers just need an X-ray, a cast, a night's stay, so the average travel medical claim is under $2,000. The average is low precisely because the truly ruinous cases are rare. And the ruinous one is hiding one line down. It's the flight home. A simple break might fly home in an ordinary seat, but a freshly pinned and plated leg carries a real risk of a blood clot on a long-haul flight. That's not a legroom problem. It's a patient who has to be monitored the whole way. No ordinary seat, not even a flat business one, is safe. So you need a medical evacuation, an air ambulance, a jet fitted like a flying intensive care room with a crew. That flight costs between $25,000 and over $250,000, and it stacks on top of the hospital bill. One family paid more than $78,000 for the flight alone. Turned down, left out of your policy, or never bought at all for that one flight, the bill reads the same. And no public health scheme in any country pays for it either. We'll see exactly why, passport by passport, later. So you file the claim. You had a policy. And the letter comes back, denied. Notice it doesn't argue with your broken leg. The injury is real, and they know it. In one documented case, a traveler who broke her leg on holiday was refused outright and still flew home owing close to £100,000. The break was never in question. A clause was. Because somewhere in the fine print is a trapdoor, and the entire six-figure bill drops through it. Let's open the three that catch the most people. Trapdoor 1, a pre-existing condition, any health issue you already had before the trip. And here's why it matters even for a broken leg. It doesn't have to involve your leg at all. If you didn't declare some old, unrelated condition, the insurer can treat the whole policy as sold on wrong information and cut or refuse the payout, broken leg included. And it's easy to fall foul without lying. Most policies only cover a condition that stayed stable, meaning nothing changed, no new symptom, no new medicine, no doctor's visit. For a window before you left, often 90 days. So a routine checkup the week before your flight, the responsible thing, can quietly reset that clock. In one Canadian case, a traveler's claim for more than $140,000 collapsed because of a single clinic visit days before departure. The coverage didn't fail at the hospital. It died quietly on the calendar before the trip even began. Trapdoor 2 is that flight home again. Your insurer has no automatic duty to bring you back. They can insist you're treated where you are and fight the evacuation as not medically necessary. It's one of the hardest lines on the whole bill to get paid. And Trapdoor 3 is the everyday fine print. any single line of it enough to void everything. The scooter you rode without the right license. The ski run you took off the marked trails. A few drinks before the fall. The assistance line you were meant to phone first and didn't. None of it is hidden. All of it sits in a document nobody reads until it's too late. So the insurer says no. First, the hospital wants cash at the door. In more than 30 countries, they will hold a patient until the bill is paid. So you go looking for someone else to carry it. Your health insurance back home. Usually a dead end abroad, and where it helps at all, it only pays you back later, once you've already found the cash. Your credit card. It might coordinate the flight. It rarely pays the surgery. Your embassy. Nothing, at most a loan you repay, with your passport limited until you do. A fundraiser online. Public, and it usually covers a fraction. 4 doors, everyone marked someone else, and everyone opens back onto the same room. Does it at least depend on where you're from? Here's the twist, barely. An American has essentially no public cover abroad, none at all. A Brit, a German, and a Spaniard each carry a European health card that buys state treatment across Europe, like a local. But never a private hospital, and never the flight home. And here's exactly why. That card only buys the same state care a local gets, and a jet home is neither state care nor care inside that country. It's the one gap the card was never built to fill. Germany's public insurer says it in plain words. It pays not 1 cent toward getting you home. 4 countries, 4 systems, 1 identical blind spot. Every single one stops at repatriation. The flight home, the biggest single line on the whole bill. So who pays? On the insurer's ledger, the amount payable reads 0. The bill doesn't vanish, it just needs a name. And the name at the bottom of the column isn't chosen. It is simply whoever is left standing when everyone else has said no. The traveler. You. But this ending is optional. Almost none of it is bad luck. It's a product bought wrong, and 3 moves fix it. Before you go, buy travel medical insurance, not just travel insurance. One refunds a canceled trip, the other pays a hospital. And make sure it covers evacuation with a high limit. Declare every condition, and ask in writing whether a recent checkup changes your cover. On the trip, if something happens, call the assistance line before you're treated, not after. And if they still say no, that is not the end. A wrongful denial can go to an ombudsman, an independent body that can overturn the insurer. And in the UK, a large share of disputed travel claims are. In Germany, all of this costs about 10 to 30 euros a year, against a 6-figure flight home. The loss is always real, the break, the bill, the fear. But the ledger always balances, someone pays. And when the insurer says no, the system's quiet default is to hand that bill to the person who was sure they were covered. So read the sentence before you need it. This is the Risk Casebook. What insurance trap, which country, or hidden cost should we open next? Tell us in the comments, and subscribe to follow the money after the next disaster.